Alibaba just open sourced the code review tool they've been running internally for 2 years. It hit #1 on GitHub trending. It claims 1/9 the token cost of a standalone agent, and the architectural reason why is actually worth your time. Let's get into it. The repo is Alibaba Open Code Review. It's a CLI tool, and it's been moving fast. The v1.7.x release train ran from July 16th through July 24th, 2026, 6 releases in 9 days, landing at v1.7.16. The headline feature dropped in v1.7.11, Delegation mode. We'll get to that in a second. The surrounding releases added provider presets for Light LLM, Olama Cloud, and iFlyTech Spark. CI/CD templates landed for Garrett and Bitbucket pipelines, joining existing GitHub Actions and GitLab CI support. Windows got an install script, GraphQL allow listing shipped, and native plugin bindings for open code were added. So this isn't a research demo. It's a tool someone is actively maintaining at production cadence. Here's the core idea, and it's worth slowing down for. Most AI code review tools hand a diff to an LLM and ask it to figure everything out: which files matter, which lines are relevant, what rules apply, and then produce a judgment. That's a lot of surface area for the model to get wrong. Prompt fragility, line drift, hallucinated file paths, these are known failure modes of pure agent approaches. Delegation mode cuts that differently. The OCR CLI owns the deterministic work. File selection, exclusion filtering, diff bundling, line anchoring, rule resolution. All of that runs as regular code, predictable, testable, auditable. Then, once the context is cleanly prepared, OCR hands execution to a host coding agent you already have running: Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, or OpenCode, via the OCR delegate command. That agent performs the actual review using its own LLM and your existing subscription. OCR never needs its own LLM API key configured. The split is clean, scaffolding is code, judgment is LLM. The README makes a specific claim. On a benchmark of 200 real-world pull requests covering 1,705 annotated issues across 50 repositories, the hybrid approach achieves higher precision and F1 score than standalone Claude Code, while consuming roughly 1/9 the tokens. That's a meaningful gap if it holds. The precision-first design is intentional. The tool is explicitly built to accept lower recall in exchange for fewer false positives. If you've ever had a CI bot flood a PR with noise, you understand why that trade-off exists. Alert fatigue is a real cost. I'll flag the confidence here. These numbers come from Alibaba's own README and documentation. I haven't seen an independent third-party replication of the benchmark. Sourced external head-to-heads are thin at this point. Take the absolute numbers as directional, not gospel. The landscape section here is honest. Sourced third-party head-to-heads are thin. The only direct comparison in the research materials is against standalone Claude Code on that internal benchmark. So I'm not going to hand you a short list of competitors and pretend I've done the analysis. What I can say is that the architectural pattern, deterministic scaffolding plus delegated LLM execution, is a distinct position. It's not trying to be a general coding agent. It's purpose-built for the code review workflow, with the LLM scoped to structured judgment calls on pre-filtered context. Whether that's better than your current setup depends entirely on what your current setup is. You should look at this seriously if your team already has Claude Code, Cursor, or Codex subscriptions, and you want to leverage that compute for CI review without spinning up a separate API key and billing relationship. Or if you're running Garrett or Bitbucket and have been waiting for native CI templates. Or if you've tried pure agent code review and found the noise-to-signal ratio unacceptable. You should probably wait if your enterprise security policy hasn't cleared routing source code diffs through local CLI in your CI runners. That's an open question worth answering before you adopt. Also worth watching: how the tool handles large multi-file diffs when the bundled context approaches your host agent's context window. The delegation design is clean, but context window constraints don't disappear just because the scaffolding is deterministic. And maintaining rule synchronization across Light LLM, Olama Cloud, iFlyTech Spark, and future provider presets is a real ongoing maintenance surface, my read. This is a watch moving toward adopt for teams with existing agent subscriptions. The architectural instinct is sound, keeping deterministic work in code and scoping the LLM to structured judgment is exactly how you build reliable tooling on top of models. The release cadence is healthy. The CI/CD coverage is broad. The benchmark claim is directionally credible, even if it needs independent validation. What I'd actually do Monday: clone the repo, run OCR delegate preview against a recent PR in a non-production repo, and compare the output to what your current review process catches. That's a 2-hour experiment with real signal. If the precision holds and your security team clears the routing question, this earns a spot in your CI pipeline. Alibaba saw open code review. The interesting part isn't the star count. It's the architectural argument that deterministic scaffolding plus delegated LLM is more reliable than pure agent. That's a thesis worth testing. There's a full write-up on the blog, link in the description, plus the repo, the delegation mode docs, and the release notes. If you run the experiment, drop what you find in the comments. I want to know if the precision claim holds outside Alibaba's benchmark set.